as all of you know, but want to reiterate, we have 5 minutes, and when we're done, we're done. So even if the witnesses are in the middle of answering the question, I will cut them off to move on to other members. The Secretary and the Chairman have generously said they will be here to get through all members' questions, so we will get through them. One other thing, it's perfectly okay to it's your 5 minutes. If you want to make a speech for 5 minutes, that's cool. You want to ask questions. I am going to try to make sure no one badgers the witnesses. If you ask a question, you have to at least give them the tiniest little bit of a chance to answer. For cutting off a filibuster is fine, but make sure they have a chance to speak. I don't want this to turn into a badgering session. With that, focusing on Ukraine, it's important to remember we passed a supplemental budget just a couple weeks ago. So in addition to the number that we have roughly $14 billion to specifically address Ukraine. So it's wrong to say that the President or this Congress has ignored the situation in Ukraine. $14 billion is a significant investment. My question is, what's most important in that $14 billion? What are you using it for? How is that helping the fight in Ukraine? Ms. Secretary.
Thank you, Chairman, and thanks for the support that you continue to provide to our efforts to provide security force assistance to Ukraine. I speak with my counterpart, Minister Reznikov, frequently, and as I said earlier, I just spoke with him yesterday, because we do want to make sure that we are meeting their needs, and we're providing them the things that are most useful to their fight, and the things that we have provided them, as you've seen, have been very, very instrumental in their efforts to blunt the advance of an overwhelming Russian force. So what has been very helpful has been the anti-armor and anti-aircraft capability that we've provided them. Also, the UAV capability that's been pushed in, as well as, we have over the years provided them the ability to communicate through tactical radios, secure tactical radios that we pushed in over a number of years, and they have been able to maintain command and control over their forces throughout. That's enabled them to do things that have provided them an advantage in certain cases. So we will continue to focus on those types of things that have been most useful to them, as well as emerging needs that the Minister of Defense identifies.
Thank you. And for both of you, what lessons have we learned as we've watched the last month plus now of the fight in Ukraine? Because you've got Russia, a global power, going up against a much, much smaller, less armed, less resourced foe, and struggling mightily in doing that. As we look at what we need to build and how we need to think about deterrence, we want to be ready for the fight if it comes, but the main goal of what we're trying to do here is to build a force that will deter adversaries. Iran, China, Russia, being at the top of that list, North Korea. What have we learned about what we would need? As you see, obviously one of the lessons is the tank isn't what it used to be. How is that informing for both of you what you think is most important to fund to make sure that we have that deterrence for the battlefield that we face today with the technology that is available?
Well, we've learned that armed with the right capabilities, a determined force can do tremendous work in terms of defending itself, and the Ukrainians demonstrate that each and every day. We've seen them again blunt the advance of a far superior force with respect to the Russians in terms of numbers and capability, by using the right types of techniques and the right weapon systems. The Javelin, the Stingers have proven to be very, very effective in this fight. We've also learned that just because you have the capability, it doesn't mean that you're going to overwhelm another force easily. The Russians have significant mechanized capability, but as you look at the techniques and tactics, procedures that they used, they were not very effective. And so you question the training, the leadership at the non-commissioned level, non-commissioned officer level, and their ability to provide basic logistics to a force that size. Those are the things that have given them significant problems over the last several weeks, in addition to their inability to link air power to the ground effort. But there are a number of lessons that have been learned. I think because the Russians have not been effective in using their armor, it does not mean that armor is ineffective on the battlefield going forward. It means that they were ineffective because of the things that they failed to do in this fight.
Thank you. Chairman Milley.
Just a couple of comments briefly. One is the importance of intelligence. We've had extraordinary intelligence all throughout, and the intelligence sharing that we've enabled Ukraine to see. So I wouldn't suggest that it's at the level of the ultra-secret sort of thing from World War II, but the ability of us to transmit information that is useful to Ukraine has been enormously helpful, I believe, to them. And I talk to my Ukrainian counterpart several times a week, so he has reiterated that multiple times. Secondly is the importance of leadership. That's at the national level. I think that's been pretty clear with Zelensky, but also at the tactical level. Ukraine has been trained by the United States since 2014, and they have given me feedback personally saying that that training has been quite effective in terms of the concept of mission command, distributed junior level leadership, a development of an NCO corps, junior officers that have initiative. That is not present in the Russian army. That is present right now in the Ukrainian army. And you see the effects of mission command, decentralized operation, and that is working out extraordinarily well on the battlefield. The third piece, I would say, is focusing on that which gives you the best effect on a battlefield, which in this case has been anti-tank weapons and air defense weapons that deny the Russians the ability to maintain air supremacy or even achieve air superiority. And the last thing, as you mentioned, character of war. One of the things we know is that by mid-century, roughly speaking, 90% of the 8 or 9 billion people that are going to inhabit the Earth, they're going to be living in highly dense urban areas. So the character of war is going to shift, character of war being how you fight, with what weapons you fight, the organization, the tactics, et cetera. That is going to shift. We've seen precursors of that in the battles of Mosul and Raqqa. We're seeing, again, Kyiv, Kharkiv, and all these urban battles. So what you're seeing is forces that are optimized to fight in rural, wooded, rolling hill type terrain are going to have very, very difficult times in urban terrain. And that proved true, and that's one of the reasons why the Russians are withdrawing from Kyiv, because they couldn't mass the combat power to seize Kyiv. So urban battle is going to dominate land combat in the future, and that will then also drive our use of helicopters, our use of radios, our use of tanks, armored vehicles, light infantry, dismounted light infantry, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of lessons to be learned, and I've got a whole laundry list that we've been working with the Ukrainians on, but that's just the tip of the iceberg.
All right.